to our regular meeting of the City of Sandy Oaks, and we're coming out of executive session at 7:25. Related to number 7, to discuss our possible action on hiring a Public Works Director. Is there any more discussion, or would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we offer the position of Public Works Director to Mr. Scott Rosser Perry. Duties will be for the position of Public Works Director, as well as duties of code enforcement. And the motion is to offer the position at $65,000 annually with benefits.
Okay, we have Alderman Tremblay motioning to go ahead and offer Scott Perry position at $65,000 for Public Works Director and Code Enforcement duties with benefits at $65,000.
Public Works, Animal
Slash animal control.
The Public Works position includes animal control.
And I have a second from Alderman Rapino. Do I have a show of hands to go ahead and make an offer to Mr. Scott Perry for this position?
Yes.
A unanimous, motion passes. Number 8, discuss, consider, and approve the quote from Southwest Public Safety for retrofitting of the Marshall vehicle for $16,142.61. And we had actually looked at this before.
The original quote we had was provided back on 20 February, was valid up until 23rd March or 22nd of March. I did contact Southwest Public Safety, and I know we discussed this in the past, and I think Alderman Fillinger, you had an issue being that there was only one quote submitted. I actually did some calling around, did find some companies that stated on their ads that they did this type of work, but when you called them, their people were no longer there. And I did check with some of the military installations as well as the city of San Antonio. And this is the company that retrofits all of their vehicles, with the exception of some of their graphics, which the city has their own graphic shop, so they do all their own decaling and stuff like that. But I did speak with Chris Knocker, and he said that they would still honor this quote at $16,142.61. So I think we should get going on the vehicle. It's slowing the whole process down of getting the marshal's office going. This does include an expensive video system. Alderman Tomasini, you want to chime in with some of the stuff you found at Elmendorf, just so we got an idea what this stuff costs and what we're gonna need this stuff.
We've changed the budget.
Okay, so
Because
I
this
would.
is just the vehicle, right?
Yeah. This is like I said, the offer is still valid, and so if there's any more discussion, I'd move that we approve this bid and get the vehicle in for retrofitting.
Yeah, I've also made some calls, and I agree with you that this is the place. So I second that motion.
Okay, so we have Alderman Tremblay to motion to go ahead and accept the cost to retrofit the marshal's vehicle from Southwest Public Safety for $16,142.61. And I have a second from Alderman Fillinger. Have a show of hands to go ahead and do that. We have unanimous pass.
So how are we gonna go about doing that?
Who's going to be in charge of?
I can pick the vehicle up, drop it off, somebody bring me back, somebody pick me up. See if we can get it scheduled. When my wife is off, I'll have her pick me up. Anyway, I'll take the vehicle in.
Okay.
I can
I'll
also
find my way
available
home.
too. So.
Do we have insurance on the vehicle? Yes, we have
Yes,
insurance
yes.
through TML on the vehicles. Yeah.
Okay, so number 9, discuss and or possible action on task order for the city engineer to conduct a mitigation action plan to address the area at Grand Springs Drive and Lost Hills Street endings with the intent to apply for grant funding under Hurricane Harvey DR-4332 Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, HMGP. And we have our surveyor here representing our city engineer as well, Roy Acciona.
Right, let me go ahead and, I want to give some background on the grant, unless you'd like to do that. I do have some information to put out, and we would need your assistance to move forward with this. The Hurricane Harvey Hazard Mitigation Program currently has, excuse me, about $1 billion in grant funding available. What this money has been identified for is problems that were found or occurred during Hurricane Harvey. If folks are familiar with what the episode that happened on up around Waterwood Pass with the live wires, and so we had a lot of folks who actually could not get out of the back area there. If you look at that map that I provided, anywhere from Waterwood Pass and Copper Canyon, if you're going up in Waterwood Pass, all those streets up there, Grand Springs, White Hickory, Morning Frost, Blue Beach, altogether the residences there that are occupied by the appraisal district, there's about 142. I went and physically counted 133. I could have missed a few because of trees or what have you, but there are actually close to 200 properties that are affected by this no exit situation. If you look at where I marked on the maps, there's a little line there with the picture as well, where Lost Hills comes down and it kind of dead ends there. Yep. And then you can't get across, and you go the other side, and Grand Springs comes in that way. So it's a situation that really needs to be looked at. Utilizing the grant program here, the city, if found that the application was accepted, the city would do a 25% match. So if the project was $200,000 to do, we need to get with the engineer and just have him come up with a map, a mitigation action plan, which would be to do some kind of crossover there, whether it be a bridge with pilings, culverts, I don't know, but that's what we would need the engineer to do. When the engineer would submit the application, and we could, I'm sure there's more information that would go into the application that we would assist you in providing. So the whole process, there's a deadline for getting the application in June 30th. We're probably sitting on the short end of a fast fuse to get this done. The whole process could take a year to a year and a half before the award would be done. So I think the longer we put this off, construction costs rise as well as materials. So if we can get going now, the city won't be held absorbing the total cost of this project. So I guess first thing I would need to do would get some discussion from the council and what their feelings are about addressing this area right here.
Are we just asking the engineer right now to come up with a plan for a bridge?
The plan needs to be, and when he comes up with a plan, he will actually submit the application. His plan needs to be on file with the application so they can look at it. We need to include where our funds are coming from for the 25%. The proposed area is annotated, as well as the mitigation action. We need to look at number of residents or structures, and I think we've identified the number of structures. Damage history, I don't know that we have a damage history, but we have a life safety issue that needs to be addressed. We can proceed further and get the number of fire and EMS calls that have been to that area. And that could drastically have an effect on their response to that area. So further discussion from the council.
Under eligibility activities, so would he determine if we're eligible? How will we actually identify which type of activity this is?
Yeah, and again, I think we're looking at it. Actually, there could be a couple of different ones in there. The dry flood proofing for non-residential historic. I don't know if we can use that one, but community safe. I'm not sure how we would look at that, and that might be something that the engineer would. Soil stabilization definitely would be it, because that's one reason that the road doesn't go through there. The developer found that when he got over to that area that it was going to be too expensive for him to put a bridge through there. So it's I think that's probably the one we would be looking at would be soil stabilization. So as we get more and more rain through that area, there's more and more erosion that occurs, which is hindering the process of getting a road through. So I think the longer we wait, again, the erosion is going to expand that trench through there. I don't know if you're familiar with the area we're talking about.
Yes, actually, we had called when we were doing the survey for all the trees. We went to that particular location, and you can see where the road ends on both sides. Basically, you got one way, go around, all the way around, and get around to the opposite side. The number of homes on the back side just have only one access to come back out. Grand Springs.
It's
Yeah.
But
Grand
yeah,
Springs.
just one direction going out. So
Right.
any type of emergency vehicle, you have to go basically around the whole loop just to get back to the end. So, and the soil is very sandy, so if there's any kind of rain,
Right.
washes that out.
Right.
It moves very much.
So I would ask for some more input from the council. Now, I would like to get the engineer. I'd make a motion that we authorize a task order to the city engineer to conduct this mitigation plan. And I'll be more than happy to work with you on that as far as the city, if you need any additional information. As far as numbers, the populations, the number of structures, I have all that information.
What would be included in the task order?
Yeah. Well, that would be, I think the other thing would be for also any other insurance, flooding insurance that maybe people may have claims.
Not sure if any of those properties are in a designated floodplain. They may be. I would have to look at their deeds.
Yeah, I mean, most of the floodplains I've looked at in your area is actually outside your city limits.
Yeah.
You don't have one actually within the city, but you may have people that flood, but not necessarily be in the floodplain. Whether they're residents or some structure or something that's flooded. That kind of information, makes it for FEMA to look more on compared to on a different project. Flood conditions that occur, irrespective of if there's a floodplain or not. So that's why we had a little bit more information from input comes to citizens, that will make it a little bit easier to document.
Right.
So we do have to have documentation though. That's
So
all.
what he would be tasked to do would be to come up with a mitigation action plan. He would actually decide or decide on and through his information or his engineering practices whether he would what type of crossing he would put there, whether it be dump gravel there and pave it, or build a bridge with culverts, build a bridge with pilings. He's going to come back with that plan. That's what would be funded through the Harvey mitigation plan.
Well, but-
His plan is basically what we're going to submit and say, this is what the work we want to do. That's what we want him to
Would
do.
your task order be to tell us what you're gonna do and then, give us a cost for that?
Exactly.
first, Right?
Sure.
And then it would be up to us to, approve that, task order, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
For the engineer, is this something you think we can do and get submitted by 30 June?
It's a real tight timeframe, I know that
So basically, you're gonna come back, if we give you the task order, you need to get back to us with the cost to do the plan, and then you gotta move forward. So,
We would look at a timeframe also to see if that we can actually meet that date. Pretty quickly, though. That's about six weeks.
That's not too far away.
Yeah.
We might need a special meeting.
well, and if need be, do you know that, you've done these before, I'm sure you've done some of these grants, and they can all be submitted electronically?
From what I understand, yes, they are.
Okay, so-
Data that's gotta go into those, and, sort of, overseeing a lot of what's going on with other, within FEMA on each one of these. So they have a selection data that they go through.
Right, and I guess that's where the year and a half part comes in, the processing part, yeah. Okay.
Do you have a motion? Do you have a motion? Trevor made a motion. You made the motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
could you please clearly restate your motion?
The motion is to submit a task order to approve a task order for the city engineer to conduct a mitigation action plan to address the area at Grand Springs Drive and Lost Hills Street with the intent to apply for a grant funding under Hurricane Harvey DR 4332 Hazard Mitigation Grant Program.
Okay, and we have a second from Alderman Rapino. Okay, and show of hands to go ahead to do a task order, to do this,
To request the task order.
just to request a task order for the engineer to go ahead and conduct a mitigation assessment. Show of hands.
Yep.
Are you for it? Mr. Rapino, you seconded? Put your hand up. Okay, and Charles, yes, so we have unanimous. Number 10, to discuss and/or thank you so much, appreciate it, thank you for coming. Oh, you're not leaving, okay.
I'll get with you after the meeting, so if you're good.
Discuss and/or possible action on current and net income in city budget and make budget appropriations as required and needed. Alderman Thomasini and Tremblay.
I'm gonna move that we combine 11 and, where's 11? 10, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
10 and 12?
Yeah, we're on
We're on item 10.
Yeah.
Yes.
Give me a second.
10 and what?
10 and 12?
10 and 12. Yeah, I'm gonna move that we combine items 10 and 12. Yeah, basically.
They're both budget.
It's not there. Okay, so we have a motion to combine items 10 and 12. 10 is to go ahead and make appropriations for the, yeah, city budget as needed. For fiscal year 2017-18 for municipal purposes. So as needed, we need to move through our public works. Oh, is there a second? To combine? Okay, so Douglas, Alderman Thomasini, motion to combine 10 and 12. Do we have a motion by the council? Vote. Okay, all voted to combine. So we're combining these two things. So we need,
We just need to move the net income to some.
right, we need to move the net income, is it $100,000 cost to the city?
First,
For?
what is the total of the net income that, because I just don't know how current my numbers are.
The net income is $640,421. Wait a minute, that's a whole, excuse me, hold on. Yeah.
Made by.
She just gave us one. It's 4421.
Carry over.
This is it right here, isn't it?
we're looking at 392, I just want to be sure we got, well, I'll get the wrong, 392, 264. So that's what's unbudgeted at this time. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh my God. 392. 392, 265.
And we need to move over 100,000 for the to hiring.
It's 100,000 to Public Works.
To Public Works and.
How much?
100,000.
Why?
And then number 12 is for streets, Charles.
Isn't his
Actually,
salary
that
60
needs to go to the utility budget, that,
So where in Public Works are we gonna put this 100,000? There's not a salary.
So,
Public Works employees,
yeah, it's Public
Oh,
Works
employee.
employee. There's 23 there now.
Okay, I see, okay.
so we'll have 123,000.
And utilities, how much we
Charles?
wanted to move, Charles?
$8,000.
To.
Electric?
Utility, electric.
Utilities, electric.
There's going to be,
$8,553.
there's going to be a lot more money needed to stand up the marshal's office. I'd like to put another 100,000 in the marshal's office. And this won't be repeated next year. It's just a lot of cost involved in setting up the office. We're talking weapons, uniforms, radios. There's a lot of
So where
stuff
do I put the 100,000?
in the marshal's office.
We gotta be more specific.
Yeah, because there's different.
Salary, supplies,
Equipment,
equipment, marshal's office.
equipment, marshal's office.
All of it, the equipment,
That's
There's
fine.
a place for equipment and one for supplies, I think.
yeah.
I need rental storage money.
What is she storing? What is she storing?
110 left. Rental,
Rental storage, we're over 700. Charlotte, how many more months are we gonna be?
Well, the 200 that I paid for tonight is not in here. One more month, I'm assuming?
And we're short 700.
get it.
Well, $1,500.
Can't hear you.
We changed, didn't we change the location?
It's supposed to work different?
It's the municipal building or.
Yes, so we already changed it, so I would say 15, yeah, well, 1,500, because we're short 700. And you're short,
1,500?
yes. We have one more area. We have park volunteer projects.
I think, under the, what's left in mowing? I'm looking for
Yeah, it's on the last page.
Last page, mowing.
Last page.
Mowing and litter.
We're short $200 on.
Mowing and littering is under Public Works.
I see,
No, it's not.
yeah. See, we acquired the property, the Saws property, that's also gonna need to be maintained. Can we add another, and if we talk about doing the right-of-ways, it's gonna be an increase.
Did you
Can we
get
just-
a quote, Charlie, on right-of-ways?
I actually have some other
He doesn't even know how to
companies.
bid- He doesn't even know how to bid it out. Do we want to do it by street, by mile? He doesn't.
Yeah, I have some other companies to get in touch
Yeah.
with, but can we put another, can we put 10,000 into mowing and litter?
Okay.
He doesn't know what we want mowed, so that's why he can't give us.
Well, it's not so much that, but there's a lot of streets that don't need to be mowed, you know?
And a park
And a lot of
volunteer
it capable of
project,
this equipment.
that should be $1,000 in there. For some reason, it's, a park volunteer project, some reason it was put in a Park City Grounds project, $1,000, and we're over 141.7.
And there's
That's for
discussion
Mr.
about
Thompson.
what you're going to have the kids doing this summer. There's going to be some repairs that need to be done on the equipment that's in there.
Is it 1,000 enough?
I don't think it is.
Thomasini?
Hmm?
Mr. Alvin, how much do you want in the Parks volunteer project?
10.
Well, just,
2,000, 3,000?
you could put, whatever, we appreciate anything you want to put in there. But it's gonna take more than 1,000, right?
Well, let's put 10,000.
Because we still have to do the bathrooms,
The bathrooms, some of the equipment that's out there that the kids are playing on, if we can add equipment, we can do that if we got money left, so let's put 10,000 in there.
It's past time to put a commercial fence around that playground.
To put a what?
Commercial fence?
They have basically a residential fence. Every time a teenager comes across the rail, he collapses it. Yeah, and the way that that's built up with the ties and everything, we have to have a fence because it's just too dangerous for the kids to be stumbling off the edge. So I really think we need to take a look at, quit trying to patch that residential fence up and put one good fence up for the next 15 years. That's my thought. Swimming pool is gonna be out of order and gone as a swimming pool. We might wanna look at possibly put some shade structures, benches, and a garden in that area so that us old folks can walk around the pool and take a rest. Sorry, folks, 5 laps around the pool, I'm sitting down.
2,900.
Y'all can have that big walk
Yeah,
outside.
with no
Okay.
seats.
Are there any other items? We have a total here of $229,000 and 229,500.
I'm really not comfortable with that number.
Okay. Too
For,
high?
For the park?
No,
For everything.
the number that we're starting with here, because we were,
Well, we need the public works
$261,000,
utilities.
we gained $130,000.
With the marshal, they put 100,000 there. We put.
No, each one.
No,
no, it went up.
I'm saying I'm concerned about the $392,000, $200.64 we started with.
It's increased.
When, I missed the council meeting, but previously, we were looking at having $261,000, and I'm wondering how we gained $130,000 in our net income in
You
the
have,
last 2 months.
You have $50,000 in taxes that were brought in,
No.
Okay, thank you.
and then you have $29,000 in franchise fees.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, almost
Okay,
10,000.
that's still,
And sales tax was 11,500. So look at page 7. And look at the differences. Is 89,260. We even still got some money from WPPOA, $2,200.
okay, thank
See
you
those
very
numbers?
much.
So that's where the other.
130,000. We're doing well.
Yes. Okay, so is that number okay now? 229,500, or is that too high still?
That's what we spent out of the 392. I'm figuring the balance.
Just order. For the
Still 100. We're still 162.
Say it louder,
She had a
sir.
huge
Can't hear you
surplus.
very-
There's still $162,000.
Okay, sir, I think maybe we need to go ahead and look at reserving $50,000.
We can add money to the reserve fund.
$50,000 for the mitigation on Lost Hills.
That's right, we're gonna spend some money there.
Let's reserve that funding now while we have it. That's a big thing, and I lose sleep over, which fire is gonna stop the police, the fire department, the EMS from being able to respond. You know, with our fine drivers out there, I could see a high-speed collision at the corner of Copper Canyon, Waterwood Pass, big fire there, and everybody from that point back is locked in. You know, God help us if we have two urgent calls at once.
And we probably should put some money in the municipal court too, because if we're gonna open a marshal's office, for it to be effective, we're gonna need, because if you're opening the marshal's office, you're not just opening their office, you're really opening a municipal court and a prosecutor, those things.
Okay.
Is the computer under the marshal's office, is that tied into the court system?
What do you mean?
For use for the municipal court, the computers you're talking about?
Oh, I don't know if they can use the same computer.
Okay.
But I know that there's certain programs that municipal courts use and things.
Well, I know the marshal's, software is gonna be really expensive, he told me. The municipal court, Rickoff is helping me, through interlocal agreement with Tejada, so I'm hoping
we got off the
court costs down still.
It'll still cost
I'm
something.
still
Yeah,
concerned
yeah.
about that.
Well, there's 92,000 left, let's put 42 into the court. And then drop the other 50 into the reserve fund.
Charles.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm mumbling to myself. I'm concerned about the ILA agreement with Tejada and the municipal court, because the municipal court has original jurisdiction on all of our ordinances, and I don't know that we can ILA that jurisdiction away. I'm concerned.
Alderman, in fact, that's kind of what we've been talking about with him, and we have jurisdictional concerns too. The reason that did come up was because, I don't remember if it was the marshal or somebody who had said that Bear County had entered into ILAs with other cities, or just the piece to do it. We haven't been able to find one, so
As
that's
I
what
said,
we're.
you know, civil laws, we have some concurrent jurisdiction, but as far as our local ordinances are concerned, I don't find anything that allows us to authorize somebody else for our local jurisdictions. Our local ordinances, although it can be appealed to the next level of court, the original jurisdiction again, as far as I can determine, is with the municipal courts.
And you can do an ILA with another city, but that city, there is no city that we are eligible to do
Yeah,
that.
exactly, concurrency, and we're not, we don't have that ability.
So there is possibly, doing jurisdiction with, or having the court do jurisdiction for ordinances that are also consistent with state law, possibly.
Then we have to charge them under state
But
law.
that's what's been the delay, is that jurisdictional issue. Just to answer your question on that concern.
Medicine doesn't taste sweeter because we put it off. I think we need to look at our municipal court.
You got it all listed there, where it's going.
Not too soon.
Public Works and Police.
Me.
make a motion that we move from the net income line, which reads $392,264, that we move to Public Works employee $100,000, to the Marshal's office equipment $100,000, to utilities $8,000.
Electricity utility.
Yes.
But that's specific electricity.
Well, it's utilities, so no.
Utilities, electricity.
For rental, 1,500. For mowing and litter, 10,000. For park volunteer project, 10,000. For the engineering mitigation action plan, to include future costs, 50,000.
Now, do you want that in the reserve, or do you want that under the line item by itself?
We'd have to create a line item, let's just put it in the engineering,
Okay.
engineers.
Okay.
And then for the municipal court, 42,000. And we'll put $50,700 into the reserve fund.
And that adds up
$373,200.
Any second?
Balance.
Okay, so Tremblay motion to make the changes to the fiscal budget for what we just.
Are we approving the ordinance?
to, have you
Yes.
added
Yes.
up to make sure that
It's 373.
We need to.
We're $10, $20 under.
Alderman Tremblay, motion to approve the ordinance to amend the annual budget for fiscal year 2017-2018 for purposes as appropriated, as required or needed, totaling $373,200. And we have a second from Alderman Rapino. Show of hands to vote yes for this motion. Okay, unanimous motion passes. Number 13.
11.
11, oh, okay. Streetlights. Okay, number 11, discuss and enter possible action on a plan to improve streetlights in the city of Sandy Oaks. Alderman Fillinger and Garcia. What can you tell us about how much? Oh, well, we already went through the amount.
We already talked about how much.
Okay, do you have maps over there?
We have maps. If anyone would like to wander over and take a look at what we have and what we're proposing. Basically, we're looking at a new light fixture at every street intersection. I'm sorry, I will speak in my parade ground voice.
There you go.
Basically, our plan is to have a street light at every street intersection and at the end of every cul-de-sac in town, including the corner of Lamb Road and Priest Road, Shady Forest and Priest Road, and one additional all-night security light at the Saws property on Priest Road. That includes South Oak Estates, down off Storm Oak Drive. It does not include anything on Mathis Road because that is all county, and if you drive down through there, you will see there are municipal lights supplied by the county out there. It includes all of Copper Canyon, which currently has no street lights from New Mathis Road to Waterwood Pass, and a street light at each dead end of Grand Spring and Lost Hills, where we're talking about the flooding and flood mitigation. That's it. It's about 75 new lights at a cost of about $666. I've asked for $700 a month because I know we will find some void areas. I've been trying very hard to get with the school board as to where are the bus stops. Because I know not every bus stop is at a street intersection. Alderman Garcia says he has the name of the man that can authorize us to know where the buses stop. I've not had a lot of parental feedback on, does your child get picked up away from the corner? But I haven't interviewed all 1,900 residences in the city, so that's where we're at. I can't, ma'am.
May I speak? May I ask a question?
You have to ask the chair, ma'am.
Madam Chair, may I speak?
Yes.
I think the problem with, where the kids are picked up, that could change year to year, depending on whether kids move out of the area or new kids come in.
It could.
So that's a fluctuating thing, really. That'd be really hard for the school district to tell you.
I think the amount of lights we're gonna put, we could identify where we want bus stops. I think we can do that.
That would be nice. That
Well,
would be nice.
we-
Does that include any lights in the park?
It does not include lights at the park. That's, we're gonna have CPS come out and give us a separate survey on the park.
There's a lot of this vandalism that's happened in the park. probably
Yes,
could
ma'am.
be stopped with lights.
As I say, I have some cushion in there for some additional lighting because
Thank you.
I know that we have some void areas and we have, you know,
Because I've been asking for lights in the park, security lights in the park for
I-
17 months.
I'm still picking low-hanging fruit. We're
I
gonna
know
get
you
the
are.
ladders out next week. Okay, so, any questions as far as where it is? We have the maps available at this time.
Yes, sir. Is it gonna be one of those $10 a month service fees that the city pays CPS? Is that how it works? Per light?
It's 8 1/4. The city gets a little better rate, and we don't pay taxes.
$666 a month.
Okay, so do we have a plan to motion on this?
Oh, I make the motion that we authorize Alderman Fillinger to contact CPS and follow up on installing and putting on lights.
Okay, so, Alderman Fillinger motioned that he would to go ahead and make contacts and things to go ahead and improve the streetlights. And you second the motion, Alderman Garcia, do we have a hand, show of hands for the motion? Okay, motion passes. Number 13, discuss or possible action on calling for and setting a date for a public workshop regarding the city comprehensive plan in accordance with chapter 213 Texas Local Government Code. Alderman Fillinger and Tremblay.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll go ahead and speak to this. When we talk about a master plan, that's kind of a generic thing. And I don't feel it would be right for the city to call in several engineers and say, okay, y'all tell us what to do. I think we need to have 1 or 2 or 3 public workshops, and let's discuss the future of our city. Let's discuss, do we want to have one thing we call a master plan, or do we want to have separate master plans for different areas of the city all together in a comprehensive plan? Okay? Realistically, folks, we have adopted the International Building Code. The city has no standards for mobile homes in ordinance. And if we don't have an ordinance, we have no control. We have 0 zoning ordinances okay? We all have deed restrictions that require single, residence, but I'm not putting my retirement plan into a court to sue my neighbor when he doesn't live with the deed restrictions. So the way that cities handle that is we have to adopt zoning ordinances. And that all becomes part of the master plan, okay? No individual can, in their spare time, design zoning ordinances, street plans. We as a community need to come together and say, what do we as a community want for the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years down the road, and how do we want to get there, okay? That means the community needs to be involved in, I've lived in a lot of cities and in a lot of states, and every place I ever lived, even in a city of 200 people in Illinois, we had a zoning and planning commission. We need to look at that under our comprehensive plan. How do we want to deal with the things we need to deal with? It's real easy to get on the keyboard and say, city council needs to do something about trash, okay? We can only pick up so much trash. We have to have a better plan. We all want the park open. We all want our children to play safely. We need to have a plan, and that's not gonna happen in a 2 or 3 hour meeting once a month. We need the community involved, and that's why I'm calling for let's have a public workshop and decide where does this city wanna go. Once we make those kind of decisions, then we can hire consultants or engineers to implement what we as a city want, okay? And it needs to be more than just the 25, 30 folks that show up faithfully. Get all your friends, because it's their children, their streets, their taxes, and their homes that are going to be affected by what we at this table have to decide. Okay? So, that said, I'd like to make a motion.
All right, let me just,
Sir.
I'll go ahead and have my name on here. Just want to add, I'm going to echo what you said about community involvement.
Pass the microphone.
Go ahead. I'll echo with what Alderman Fillinger said about community involvement. If anybody's ever lived in the city of San Antonio, you know that they have a master plan. They have a 5-year plan. And when they go through neighborhoods and they pave a street or they put a sidewalk in, it's because somebody on that block made some noise. Not, using a word that there is. Somebody made some noise. Somebody in that neighborhood said, hey, come and look at this. They called the councilman, and money was allocated. The only way that we can improve the city is to get input from the citizens, because we don't, there's streets in San Diego that I don't even know are there. I'm still learning streets, and I drove around that Grand Springs area and saw those little short cul-de-sacs. If the people that live there don't say something, and we can't please everyone. We can try, but I can tell you right now, we're not going to please everyone. But people who come forward, if you get little communities, we can try and set up some workshops within the community. Get your neighbors together and come up with ideas. And that's how we can fund these things. If we look, because we won't be sitting here 5 years from now. I guarantee you I won't be here 5 years from now. But the budgets need to reflect what the community wants, not so much what we want, although we were elected to and put up here to serve you. We do need your input, and it's important. So just think about that. And I'd just say, I think getting the community together and doing a comprehensive plan rather than paying an engineer to tell us what we've already got. This booklet we got from Mr. Johns which was, I don't think sustainable within 2 years without making a lot of people unhappy and hitting their wallets. We can do this a different way, and I think a comprehensive plan is the way to go about it, so.
So you're calling to set a date as well, or several dates, 3 different dates?
How about a location?
Be
I-
nice to
I-
have it considered.
Charles, did you have a date in
Do you
mind
have
as the
dates in
first one?
mind, once a month, or?
Yeah, I'd like to, I'd like to say for the next 3 months, let's, do the 4th Thursday of the month in the place where we normally have our council meetings, here or, the municipal building. And then we might be able to committee out into smaller meetings with different parts of the city.
So June, July, and August for 3 consecutive months, the 4th Thursday of the month.
Yes, ma'am, that way we can try to get the plan together before we,
6:30 as
6:30,
usual?
that way we can try to get the plan together, at least partially together before we start passing another budget ordinance.
So we have a motion, right?
That is the motion, ma'am.
Okay. So
That's
Alderman
needed.
Thornton's motion to go ahead and, call for 3 months in a row, 4th Thursdays a month.
We need 3.
June, July, and August at 6:30 PM for a public workshop regarding the city's comprehensive plan in accordance with Chapter 203 Texas Local Government Code. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And Alderman Tremblay second the motion. Do I have a show of hands to vote for
At the workshops,
The workshops.
we can all show up, right? I mean, that's
Pretty much like town hall,
town hall.
It's an open meeting.
It's open.
It'll be announced.
So it would be
Yeah,
like a
open
special
meeting
meeting.
like a special meeting?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Start in May or June?
June, because we're in May already. So, do you want it to start in May?
I'd say May, June, and July, ma'am,
Okay.
that way we should have things by August.
So May, June, and July. Did I have a show of hands for that?
That's true.
Okay, so we need a new motion for the new dates. Oh, we needed amending to the motion to change the 3 months to May, June, and July.
Okay, ma'am,
Okay, Alderman Fillinger, motion to amend
Yeah.
the 3 months to May, June, July, and
Why
We
Thursday?
have a
Why
second.
not a Saturday, a Thursday,
Alderman
a Monday?
Garcia seconds the motion. Can I have a show of hands
Too
for
late.
amending? Thank you so much. Passes. Number 14.
wait a minute, ma'am, if we just passed the amendment, let's pass the original motion after.
Oh, and we passed the motion.
You
So
wanna
we
amend
just
it?
passed the motion. Do I have a show of hands to vote on the motion to amend?
No, we just approved the amendment, ma'am, we now want to vote the amended motion.
That's what we did. Okay, now we want to vote on the amended motion. Do I have a show of hands?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Number 14, discuss and/or possible action on a resolution authorizing continued participation in the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's Community Development Block Grant, Emergency Solution Grants, and Home Investment Partnership Programs for fiscal years 2019, 2020, and 2021, and execution of a cooperative agreement with Bear County for participation in such programs. So we already, we're in for 3 years ending 2018. How do, we really weren't in
We
participation?
we
How do I
actually
work
have
participation?
grant writers that we hired.
Right,
um,
grant works.
And I think we should leave this to them and just abstain at this time. Yeah, I don't see a
It
reason
hasn't
why.
been helpful as far as
Yeah,
I
they did
know.
nothing for us.
Right, well, at the time, we didn't
I just
qualify
need
at
to
that time.
present it,
But
so-
we did qualify. According to them, we did, but we did qualify. You can't tell me we weren't low income out.
I would like to rise to speak, ma'am, so there's
Yes,
no
ma'am. Yes, sir.
misunderstanding.
Yes, sir.
We have had no participation or representation for our needs cooperating with the county. We have to answer their questions. They don't answer our questions. My personal feeling is we're underrepresented with the county. We have grant works. We have an engineering company that has the ability to write grants. I would say I strongly stand against the passage of any motion of us going with the HUD block grant cooperative agreement with Bear County.
That may be.
Did you hear that, Tom?
I have to agree with you, Alderman Luther. I don't think we need to piggyback with the county.
But what, I mean, that may be the only way that we'll be able to get some of the grants. Does anybody know if
No.
that's true?
That
I
is
don't
not
know.
true.
No.
We go into a pool with them, we go into a pool and then they decide.
We're actually
what to do.
competing with,
Yeah.
we compete, Bear County gets the money and then they distribute
And then
it.
they distribute, yeah, I knew
Right.
that.
But as far as,
Okay.
yeah, entering into a partnership or anything with the county, no, we have our grant writers. We need to,
So do I have a motion to exclude Sandy Oaks from the HUD block grant and these programs?
That expires this year, is that
Yeah, we
not
need an
correct?
answer by June
as
15th.
far as entering as a co-op agreement with the county, no, I don't think that's a good idea.
So we're excluding ourselves. Have you made a motion? Mr. Fletcher?
I make the motion that we do not enter into a cooperative agreement with Bear County for participation in such programs.
Okay, do y'all have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a second by Alderman Garcia. Show of hands to vote to exclude ourselves from this program. Okay, motion passes. We have number 15, discuss and or possible action on amending city ordinance 2015-13, section L1, vendors and solicitors, subsection LA. Restrictions applicable to all vendors' motor vehicles, to provide restrictions on parking of motor vehicles within 15 feet of a fire hydrant or a designated fire lane, providing for business regulations of peddlers, solicitors, and vendors, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severity, and providing an effective date. Could you explain this, please?
Sure. Fire hydrant regulation, the Texas Transportation Code, 545.302, prohibits standing or parking in certain areas. Along that, included in that list is parking within 15 feet of a fire hydrant. That is the state Transportation Code statute. All the cities in Texas follow that same practice. Therefore, I mean, what I'm looking at is when I come into the city on Waterwood Pass, there's a fire hydrant in front of the Valero gas station. And there'll be vendors parked right up to that fire hydrant. They have their trash cans tied to it. They have their customers coming in and parking right up to the fire hydrant. If there was a fire at the Valero,
Where the big red curve is.
there's a big red curb on the other side. They can't park there as well. So the Transportation Code does stipulate 15 feet within a fire hydrant or a marked fire lane. So the same thing applies to the red curb. So that's my concern is it's a safety violation or safety hazard. Should the fire department need to access that hydrant, they'd have a rough time. So that's the,
But this ordinance is for more than just that, though.
well, the ordinance itself, this one part of that's one section of the ordinance. The ordinance deals with vendors in general, licensing, and that's another issue that'll come up next.
We're actually amending.
We're amending one section. We're amending section L8 to include parking within 15 feet of a fire hydrant, right?
Okay, I agree with what you say, 100%. However, I'm reviewing in my mind our city map and.
I know what you're going to say, and the transportation, the code also says that we have the right to regulate hydrants on private property as well.
Well, no, I wasn't gonna mention private property, but those people are actually set up on DOT right of way, and we need to get the DOT in here to enforce their laws.
It's questionable who owns that property. I think it is the right of way, but if you look at Bearcat, it looks like the Valero
The
owns it to the
property,
street. but-
their property line butts up to it.
I'm just looking at our official city survey,
right.
and meets and boundaries and, that go along with it. And it's actually showing the right of way as being,
It
And
should-
doesn't our jurisdiction,
Distance from the center of the road.
doesn't our jurisdiction extend out 1,000 feet from our
It does.
boundaries?
ETJ.
half a mile is.
So I think,
ETJ. Got-
right, so I think we're still in the right, yeah, I mean, we have jurisdiction to put a no parking sign there. It endangers property within the city.
Again, and I'm not trying to start an argument, but if there's a sign there, it probably should be DOT putting up a sign, rather than us.
Cassandra?
Well, if it's DOT's property, then it should be them, but I don't have any ways to talk to DOT that they're not claiming that it's theirs,
They maintain the street,
yeah, then I,
so, you know, if you maintain the street, I think it's your right of way also, it's not.
Has anyone contacted you?
they may not be aware of.
I think that call the DOT
So
thing.
pull for
And
further
I'm not
investigation.
saying we don't need to amend the ordinance, we do, but the particular thing that you're talking about, I think we need to contact DOT and ask them to enforce their right-of-way laws.
Okay, being it's a legal issue, can we have Cassandra, can we have you contact DOT as a legal matter?
But it's just pertaining to a specific,
Erecting a no parking sign, passing the ordinance, right, and erecting a sign.
Well, no,
This
we
is
need
different.
to move forward with the ordinance, I'm
Yeah,
just
this is the
addressing
sign,
the
this is
particular problem.
amending the ordinance.
Right, so, yeah, again, the ordinance doesn't specifically, this ordinance doesn't specifically mention where the location is, so the ordinance amendment can still move forward.
Yeah,
Okay. So who would like to motion to amend?
I'd motion we amend city ordinance 2015-13,
Yes. City ordinance 2015-13.
section L8, to include no parking within 15 feet of a fire hydrant.
Okay, so we had a motion to amend City Ordinance 215-13, Section L, 8, to restrict vendors' motor vehicles from parking within 15 feet of a fire hydrant. We have a second from Alderman Rapino. Okay, can we vote on this? Hands to amend?
yeah.
Okay. Motion has been passed. Number 16, discuss and/or possible action on procedure for vendors obtaining permits for operating within the city limits. Since Rapino and Trimber.
Okay, once again, same ordinance deals with licensing. And if you look at the ordinance, what the requirements are, everything is pretty much spelled out in there. The issue is,
It's fine.
we've not moved forward with obtaining any licensing from any vendors within the city. The ordinance was passed in 2015. We're in 2018 now. We've lost some revenue. I just think we need to come up with a process whereas the vendors are notified that there is this requirement exists. I have asked some of them out there if they actually went just doing a purchase, if it included sales tax, and they'll make a comment like, oh, well, I pay the sales tax, or yeah, I pay sales tax. And one guy out there brought out a whole binder of papers and showed me stuff that said City of San Antonio all over it. So I don't know if we're even collecting revenue from the vendors as far as the sales tax goes. The tax code does stipulate that all food ready for immediate consumption is taxable by mobile vendors. So what I would like to do is come up with some process, whether it be a letter on official city letterhead, drafted, signed by the mayor and the city attorney, and that we have copies available from the city clerk, and that they are hand delivered to vendors out there as we see fit. The licensing, I know as mentioned there, it's $1,800 a year. It's a big chunk of change. We're missing out on. That's licensing for vendors to operate within the city. So I'm not sure we need to amend the ordinance. I think the ordinance pretty much speaks for itself as far as the licensing and the permitting. Within the letter that we notify them, it could identify the ordinance, could have the ordinance attached to it. We just need to have copies readily available that we can give to these folks. If for some reason folks think the licensing fee is too steep, we can address that later. But I think we need to let these folks know they need to have permits, licensing from the city. They're also subject to inspections. It's another one of the duties that the public works guy could be doing. He's has the credentials and code compliance to do health inspections on food vendors. So this is all stuff that's going to come to play. So if there are any thoughts, could we draft up a letter?
Well, the only thing about doing that would be, right now, the ordinance also says that they're referred to the City of Sandy Oaks designated health department or office.
And that will be our public works director. Should we have him? I think we need to get
We
these.
have to wait till
Well, we can get the letter drafted, we can have the process done, we can come up with an application. We need to do, whether we get them over the counter somewhere, if this is something off the shelf, we can get the permit. I think we just need to get everything ready and have it ready to roll.
Do we not have a ILA in place with Bearcat?
You do for health inspections, yes.
Does
Yeah,
it
they-
recognize their
they-
health inspection?
Yes,
Thank you.
it does exist.
so we would have to just put in later.
Well, on the application says they need to have their health permit. So they would be directed, when they come for the application, to get the application, they would have to show that they've passed they have their health card for their servers, they have passed their health inspection. They're the requirements that they need,
Yeah.
that they know that they need to operate.
Well,
The only thing we're notifying them is that there's a license required to operate in the city of Sandy Oaks, and within the ordinance stipulates also we can annotate in there that they need to follow Texas tax code as well. And because, like I said, I don't know that we're collecting.
Require their sales tax number, I guess.
yeah.
Okay, we can do that. So, is that something you can draft, or should we have the attorney draft it?
And there's a cost to the license.
I guess we're not getting the comptroller, we're not getting taxes from the comptroller.
We don't know, and I don't know that we're getting, are you getting receipts from the comptroller? Do they identify where the taxes are coming from? No.
No, but you can contact the comptroller and ask them about a specific, that business is tied to the city of San Diego.
All right.
You can probably call in their number.
I don't, if you said one person had a bunch of San Antonio thing, is the city of San Antonio getting?
Probably.
taxes?
Probably, so we have the food vendors, and then there is also the folks that across the street, that will be selling blankets and furniture and stuff like that, so, the licensing requirement may run some of them off, I don't know, but,
Well, when we cross the street again, we need to look at EJT and are we able to license them across the street?
right.
Just, ma'am?
She asked, she
Can-
said that she called Miss Lenora Robinson. Her son has the Robinson's Barbecue, and she said they did call and ask and never got any kind of information on any of this.
Okay, and again, what we're going to do is just, just going to notify them, we're not going to ask for any back payments, anything retroactive, up to this point. I mean, we'll grandfather it up until the point where we are able to enforce it correctly. And that is the main reason why it has not been done up to this point, is that we had no means of, and it's as much enforcement, but applying it.
Her Mission Security, her husband's old company did pay into Sandy Oaks.
Okay, great.
Because I was looking at when they send it out, Mission Security, I forgot the amount, when I looked at it last week, they sent it to me, and Sandy Oaks, and I told Richard, I said, well, I don't know what's what, but at least Sandy Oaks is getting a small amount from.
Of his sales tax.
Finger Licking Barbecue.
Right.
And also getting something from Mission Security.
Great.
Praise.
Thank you.
If their street address is in San Diego,
Exactly.
yeah, write the letter.
And the service or product is taxable. Product or service also has to be taxable, yeah.
So I would make a motion that we direct the attorney to draft a letter that will inform vendors of the requirement for licensing to operate within the city with instructions as noted in the ordinance.
So Alderman Tremblay, motion to go ahead and authorize the attorney to write a letter.
You said something about an application form.
Yes.
Is that gonna be something
The,
separate?
the city clerk will provide the application, and whether you get that, you know, it could be an over-the-shelf item, and it could be something that she can produce herself.
Yeah.
Okay, do we
So,
have-
so the motion is just for the city attorney
Okay, we have
to draft a letter in
a
accordance
second
with 20.
from Alderman Rufino about authorizing our city attorney to write a letter and inform the vendors of the city for purposes of licensing requirements. Motion, let's go ahead and vote. Who's for going ahead and letting the attorney write a letter?
Yes?
Yes? Okay, motion passes. We have one more item. Discuss, number 17, discuss and or possible action on a permanent dumpster in the utility yard of the city park, Dillinger and Tremblay. Yes, it's costly, go ahead.
Charging us $3 a day for that dumpster now.
So we have it for
Okay,
2
that-
weeks, we have the
that's
dumpster now, and it's gonna cost $3 after 2 weeks
After
a
2
day.
weeks, yeah.
A day, so you
Okay,
wanna do that.
that's not what this is in there either, but if that's their rules, that's their rules, it's $90.
$90 a month.
Okay, here's the deal. How much did it cost to have that brought out here? 300?
You know,
Yeah.
125 to deliver.
Okay.
125 to deliver.
Yeah, I haven't paid him anything yet.
And how much to have it picked up?
I don't remember.
As I remember, our original thing was it was 359 or 369 to have it delivered, emptied, and returned to their yard. keep it, it's gonna cost $90 a month, plus $189 round trip to the dump. Okay, so, but evidently they've changed the rules.
Yeah, that's what they told me.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up the emails and we're gonna talk to their business manager, because they can't change rules every 3 weeks. I would, wish to, withdraw this item at this
Okay.
time, ma'am.
So we'll go ahead and withdraw this item for further investigation.
And I'll make a motion to
Wait,
adjourn.
wait, I got-
Oh, yes.
Which one?
We have done number 12.
We did.
Oh, number
Combined with
12.
10.
Okay.
It was
We did
combined
10 and
with 10.
12 combined.
We
But
combined
it
it
wasn't,
with 10.
but it wasn't in the motion, though. We specifically have to put it in the motion.
No, we didn't.
I asked him about the ordinance, and he
Well,
said,
yeah,
yeah.
I did, I
Okay.
said ordinance, I did say ordinance.
Before you adjourn, may I?
Okay, 18, who wants to adjourn? Motion.
Oh, I'll make the motion.
Okay, Thomasine, motion to adjourn. And Garcia, motion to adjourn, show of hands, who wants to adjourn?
Everyone. She's in a hurry. You know what? She got big.